Welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T. Shroom, and today we're going to be getting into the Bitcoin charts. We're going to be getting into Ethereum, Cardano, and many, many more, even Solana. We're going to be taking a look at some charts and asking the question, is the selling over? Have we seen the end? Have we seen the worst of this bearish pullback, or is there perhaps more to come? Well, I'm going to cut to the chase, guys. There is a video on our channel that went out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and that video illustrates kind of the bearish case, what our levels could be in some extreme situations and some not so extreme situations for crypto, for Bitcoin. And in this video, I'm going to kind of do the opposite. I'm going to kind of give a little bit of an argument about why, we have a lot to be bullish about, why this may be actually the bottom for Bitcoin, and that we're going to be going forward in a very bullish fashion from here. Now, I'll say on the onset, of course, either could be right. We could be going down, we could be going up, and there also is a chance that we could be crabbing right on down the middle and be looking right at the exact same price that we're at today, 41,793, as we move into January on December 31st. We could just go perfectly sideways, guys. It's always an option that we sometimes forget about. But speaking of which, let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. I've got the 1 hour here pulled up, and as you can see, we haven't had quite a full recovery by any means. A full recovery back up to 43,000 levels where we were when it broke down quite significantly. When we definitely haven't come back and touch the highs here at 44,009. Right, so it's very, very at this point undecided. Right, but we have been able to see that the price action went in and filled in this wick that came back, that came down on December 10th, right? And the price action recently from yesterday, December 11th, actually went ahead and filled in that wick, actually went further and decided that from that level, it wanted to go higher rather than lower. Got a buy rating from Chart Prime, got up above at least one level from that wick, and tried to get up above another level, but was rejected. And that's where we are now. That's really the story of where we are now. That's, of course, the Chart Prime analysis, and you can get these Chart Prime indicators that I've just shown you in the description of this very video. We're under a red trend assistant here from Chart Prime. Let me clean this up a little bit for you guys so you can see. Under a red trend assistant from Chart Prime on the 1 hour, and we are under the dynamic reactor, okay? But we do have a buy rating on the 1 hour from Chart Prime. Okay, but you have to use all of these in confluence. Also taking a look at the Ichimoku on the 1 hour charts, you can see that we are actually nearing the zero line, but not quite there yet. This is on Bitcoin. And there's a good little gap here before we can get up to that zero line to try to flip the sentiment generally back bullish. Again, this is just the 1 hour. So let's go back out. Let's check out the daily chart here for Bitcoin. Again, we're asking the question, is the selling over? Is the selling over? And for the front end, I'm saying that I have a little bit of a bias that the selling is over, okay? But that by no means is actually what is going to happen. You have to make that determination for yourself in your portfolio and in your investments, but I'm trying to show you the bullish case, right? And I'm actually seeing a couple bullish things here so far. So as you can see here, there's the MACD is actually going ahead and breaking a bear cross right here. So a bear cross has come in. That would be bearish, not bullish. Okay, the green histograms have flipped red, so they've decelerated to the point where now they're red, and that is actually bearish as well. Okay, the Ichimoku was not able to get into the bullish zone on the daily. Okay, so it has. I wouldn't even say it's rejected. It just failed to even enter a rejection zone. And so now it's kind of rotating back over. Okay, so you may be realizing, oh, it's kind of hard to find, the bullishness here, even with a bullish bias. Yes, it is. That does seem to be the case. However, I'd say the biggest bullish thing that we're seeing on the charts here is the fact that we're in a green candle, right? We're not seeing a second red candle after the major sell-off. In fact, the red candle that we did get resulted in a wick, right? There was a wick in that candle, meaning that the bid did not want to go to the extremes of that candle. The bid wanted to come up and close higher than that, if that makes sense for you. And then also the green candle is remaining also at the low close of that red candle. So it would be very, very bullish to see this green candle get at least to the halfway mark of this candle body, and really close above that. Anything below this candle closing below the halfway point of this candle body, below 42,005, really is quite bearish, right? So you're seeing that bearish again and again. But what I would say is it is good that this candle body is not down below in the wick zone. So on the daily chart, but everything else is showing that there could be a bit more selling. Let's take a look here at Ethereum. We've taken a look at Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. And you actually do get that candle body actually opening and closing so far, not closed yet, but on the 1 day, it is actually below that red candle body. So Ethereum looking even more bearish than Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Cardano and Solana. So Cardano looking the most bullish so far of the daily candle charts based on the candles alone. Okay, so it is well above the halfway mark of that candle body from yesterday. Okay, from the 11th. And it is looking, and it has wicked even higher than that. Okay, so you don't see that on Bitcoin. You certainly don't see it on Ethereum, but you are seeing it on Cardano. Cardano looking very bullish here. Its green histograms have not really, I mean, it did have a high histogram here, and so you could say that it is rounding down, it's decelerating, but the current green histogram is actually higher than the previous one, and those MACD lines are pointing right on up and to the right. Okay, under a green, a trend assistant. That's been the case for a while. Dynamic reactor green, and we're above it on the daily chart. And the Ichimoku is squarely in the bullish zone for Cardano. So Cardano looking much more bullish than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now Solana looking a little bit more like Ethereum, to be honest with you, here on the daily chart. You are seeing a nice thin candle body on the current candle that we're in, but it is above the close of that candle body from the previous day, and it is not in the wick zone. So I'd actually revise. It looks less like Ethereum and more like Bitcoin here. So Solana, I'd say, kind of in that middle zone of being bearish and bullish. But you do see green histograms, albeit decelerating, but still not taking red into the red zone, and you haven't seen that bearish cross come in quite yet. On the MACD. On the Ichimoku, you're outside of the bull zone, but you're also kind of squarely above the zero line, which is bullish. So of all these names that I've just covered here, I'd say the most bullish one is actually Cardano. So yeah, and the one that's showing like it has more further to fall is actually the only name here that I've covered so far that's actually red today. It's down 0.14, and that was Ethereum, right? I still strongly believe that all of these names are going to be very bullish into the Bitcoin halving, and Ethereum, is the one that is looking the most weak this morning. Well, guys, I have a lot to bring you this morning, but let's go ahead and rotate on into the chat. Again, I'm T. Shroom, in for the Investing Bros. Really, really glad that you're joining me here every single morning. We do news and TA coverage. I'm doing a little bit more TA this morning because we have a video out, an interview with CVO that I've mentioned that kind of gives you some extreme, somewhat doomsday levels for Bitcoin. I urge you to go watch that so that you can have a dose of reality, right? We've certainly got a healthy dose of reality recently here with this 10% correction on Bitcoin, but it's good to have a little bit more of a macro perspective on what we can expect moving into the new year. And that's always good to know. It's always good to have that in your back pocket. Nobody's saying that we're going significantly lower here, or at least nobody that I take all too seriously, their predictions. And so I encourage you to go watch that video for not just a dose of reality, but also a measured dose, right? We're not saying that Bitcoin's going down to 12,000 or 9,000 like some are calling for. That's at this point fairly absurd. However, there are some levels, and there's some convincing arguments for some levels that we may need to go retest before we can move higher. And after all, what did we hit? We hit 45,000, right? We didn't hit 50,000. Okay, so that is generally a sentiment that Bitcoin could have done better, right? Hitting that psychological number of 50,000 in this euphoric move higher, but we didn't. We only really hit 45,000, and that was only on one exchange. So something to think about there. Something to think about for sure. Overall, though, we're seeing green across the screen for cryptos, even seeing a few names in the double digits. Look at Atom today. absolutely destroying. I'm glad I didn't sell my Atom. I've been rotating out of some of the older cryptos, but actually Atom doing really well, up 24% today. So something's going on with Atom. That's really great for them. Fetch.ai up 15%. SNEC, the meme coin, up another 22%. Right, so some of these bullish narratives are not giving up, and they are making a big move to the upside. I didn't even mention this, but Cardano up 7.3% today, so doing really, really well. And as well as Bitcoin is back in the green, at least today, at 41,700. So let's go ahead and rotate on into the chat and see how everybody's doing. The first names I'm seeing is The Dusty Hunt. Rip that dip, okay? So GS saying good morning. Red Elephant saying the same. DV said GM Bros 50,000 macro GP incoming for Christmas. One can hope. One can hope. Definitely positioning myself for a move higher, not a move lower here from these levels. But I'm not really taking a strong position in one way or another. GS said, "Dang it, my computer really needs to be updated. It's lagging already." Let's see, bro. What about GTO? All right, so GTO's got a call out. We might have to go check that one out. The kid come and said, "I want money." Okay, there we go. Bro, what about JTO? I think I said GTO. Say JTO. My bad. So I'll more than likely go take a look at that. Eric Wallen saying Shroomy. All right. And Eric Wallen, it looks like he's already watched the 8:30 video. He said good video. So there you go. Eric said he agrees with what that guy, that's what I see too. Okay, good. So he agrees with him. Hey, T, can you take a look at DOT? All right, so we've got another call out here for DOT. Just might have to go check that out as well. All right, guys, well, we've got some stories here. Absolutely, we have some stories. So let's go ahead and check those out. But before we do, I've got a special little surprise for you all. Yesterday was my birthday. I'm a Christmas baby, in the sense that I was born in December. So yesterday was my birthday, and this is what my fiance got me. She got me a little Bitcoin ornament that sits on the tree, and it's really, really sweet, and I thank her so much for that. If you do not follow me on Twitter, then you're missing out on these awesome birthday updates. You can follow me at tshroom on X, formerly Twitter, and you're going to love it. It's absolutely great. If you celebrate Christmas, if you don't celebrate Christmas, I think that you could admire this wonderful gift from my fiance. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the macro here. Caleb Franson summarizing some data prints that we just got. Disinflation is in full force, and the latest round of CPI data for November 2023 is further proof that the trend is intact. Here are the top charts that he's focused on. He breaks them down. I'm actually going to go ahead and skip his breakdown, but this summary is generally very, very good. I agree with it that disinflation is in full force. That's kind of the main theme that I'm seeing. However, when you take a look at the actual prints themselves, there's kind of a little bit for everybody. There's some data for the bulls and the bears. So let's take a look here. Core inflation is a little bit for the bears, right? So core inflation came in at 0.3. Previously, it was 0.2. So that has actually ticked up. The inflation rate has actually ticked up for core inflation. Previous was 0.2. Forecast was 0.2. Consensus was 0.3. So it met the consensus, but missed the forecast, albeit by 0.1, right? So the market really is probably going to not have a strong reaction to this, I would imagine. Because also on the just the general CPI print, kind of the headline inflation print, you did actually get a meet and a slight decrease from the previous. So the previous was 3.2, the actual was 3.1, I should say, and the forecast was 3.1, consensus 3.1. Okay, so it was a meet and it was also a beat of the previous. Okay, so again, like I said, a little bit for everybody. On the core inflation side, it was a little shaky with a slight increase. On the inflation side, it was basically a meet with a slight beat from the previous print. Okay, so again, a little bit for everybody, not squarely bullish or bearish. But of course, if you want to write a bearish article, if you have a bearish bias, you've got a little data here for you. If you want to write a bullish bias, you've also got some data. So that's how that's going to shake out. Looking further into the week, we'll have a Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday. That's going to usually that's a pretty big deal. Although since they've been pausing, right? And the next kind of prediction is that they will cut in Q3. That was issued by Goldman Sachs this last week. The decisions have not been all that important. The Fed decisions have kind of faded into the background. Now that could change quite rapidly. If they come out and hike, the Fed will be very much back in the headlines, very much influencing markets quite intensely. But all indications are pointing to, I believe it was, when we checked it yesterday, 98% likelihood of a pause for the December 13th decision. I will definitely not be going live to cover the remarks from Jerome Powell, and there will be many channels, I'm sure, that will be. And I encourage you to watch that if you want to stay up to date on that. So that's going to be our economic macro outlook. Overall, I'd say it's pretty bland, right? There's not a ton to conclude, but what I'd say is Caleb Ramson's summary is pretty good, that disinflation is in full force, right? You're just continuing to see disinflation. Generally, inflation is moving down in the desired direction of both the Federal Reserve and the global economy wants to see it move in that direction. We've got a couple ticker call-outs. We're going to get to those in just a second. I've got a few more stories here that I want to bring to your attention, one of which is very bullish and very exciting. Then we're going to take a look at a couple more just general stories. So let's go ahead and start off with the very bullish story here. Very bullish indeed. But before I get to it, I want to bring to you all's attention that we do have a new sponsor, which is Blowfin. So Blowfin is a leverage trading service that you actually don't have to KYC at all, pretty much at all. You just have to have an email, right? And then verify that email, and you can move funds into it and leverage trade. So it's really good. And the link is actually in our description. You sign up for Blowfin now and level up your trading with massive deposit and trading bonuses with over 270 trading pairs and no KYC, right? So Blowfin is where whales are made. And I hope to definitely become a whale in this bull market that we definitely seem to be moving into. Guys, you can go ahead and check out the link for Blowfin, a leverage trade service for very, very little KYC, barely any KYC at all. You can go ahead and check that out at the link down here in the video that you're watching. It's the first link under our partner links. So you'll be able to find that there. And I encourage you to check out some of the other links too. We got Chart Prime. We got 25% off tax services and free Robinhood stock if you haven't got that yet. Also, Uphold is where you can buy Caspa, and Exodus Wallet, right? So there's some good links down there that help you support the bros without having to spend any money on any kind of major donation. You can just support us by even clicking. It shows our sponsors that we have an engaged audience, and that is mainly what sponsors want to see. So that's very good. Thank you all for being part of the team and helping us out and build this community. Providing support is absolutely key for that. Blowfin is key for leverage trading. So let's go ahead and get into this bullish story here. World's first Bitcoin bonds receive regulatory approval in El Salvador. Now, if you're not tracking, El Salvador went ahead and by the leadership of this gentleman here, Nayib Bukele, who is the El Salvadorian president, they made Bitcoin legal tender. Right? And that was a very, very big deal when they did that. And since then, they've tried to actually do the following. Bukele's target was to raise $1 billion via the Bitcoin-backed bonds, seeding a Bitcoin mining industry reliant solely on renewable energy. Volcanoes, to be exact, including that generated by the country's active volcanoes. So very, very exciting there. And now, according to this headline from Coindesk.com, those Bitcoin bonds are essentially going to be approved. So that's very, very good. And they're expected to launch in Q1 of 2024. So, wow, that's very, very soon and very exciting for the small South American country that seems to be leading the charge on what it looks like to integrate Bitcoin mining into your government, right? Into your government outlay. And after all, I think it's a really good decision, and Nayib Bukele is going to go down in history as one of the pioneers for Bitcoin, and it's really, really great. Seeing Army Piper in the chat saying, yo, so it's good to see Piper. I got to spend the weekend with him down in Daytona, Florida. We had a lot of fun down there. He said, we're in Florida at Disney doing Animal Kingdom today. Awesome. That's super cool. As a Floridian, I love to see people having fun in my state. That's really great. Obviously, Army Piper, huge friend of the show and a friend of mine. Got to spend a lot of time with him this weekend, like I said. GS jumping in and saying, what fun. Have a great time. Yeah, so absolutely. We wish you a great time down there in Disney. Lots of fun. All right, well, let's keep moving here. Let's get back into a little bit of alpha here. And you don't have to look too far because after all, Bitcoin is what? It's a cryptocurrency, right? So we want to always look at it as compared to other currencies. Well, the Golden Prairie, great X account if you don't follow it for some Bitcoin updates and general macro updates, is bringing up that the Dixie looks like it wants to run the clock out on 2023 in a neutral spot before making its next move, which could bring me to that conclusion of the one of the options that I brought up at the beginning of this show, right? So taking a look at the Dixie here, going all the way back to 2022, you've seen the story has been volatility, huge move higher, right, and then a move lower, and now it's kind of it's finding some comfort, just kind of in this zone between 105 and 100 for the Dixie. So it kind of begs the question: Bitcoin generally goes up when Dixie goes down. Is it possible that the sideways movement that the Dixie has had in 2023 and now moving into 2024, could that result in more sideways movement for Bitcoin, at least through the end of the year? I think that what Prairie, the Gold Prairie is bringing up here is actually not too far off the mark. I think that the Dixie but I want to modify it a little bit. I think the Dixie showing stability through 2023, not going too high, not going too low, is actually it creates an environment for Bitcoin to thrive, to actually be bullish. So I don't think that Bitcoin will continue to go sideways. I think that Bitcoin will actually go higher as the market kind of knows what range Dixie is going to stay within. So that's kind of my summary of that. Let me know if you disagree, if you agree with that. And then we've got another really cool tweet from The Rational Root. If you don't follow The Rational Root, you absolutely should over on X. Half one of 2024. So this is kind of a prediction. As you can see, there's a lot going on in this chart. So stay with me. As you can see, this is a circular chart. So it's unlike what you've seen. The X and Y axes are the same, right? But it's telling a story. It's going in a circle. And as you can see, the outermost layer of the orange line, that's what we're really paying attention to. You can see that here the ETF deadline comes into focus. That is January 10th, so early January to mid-January is when that ETF deadline is. Now notice it doesn't say ETF approval. Well, that's because there's a growing minority, I wouldn't say consensus by a long shot, the growing minority of folks who are thinking more and more that Bitcoin spot ETF will actually not be approved in early January, that it will be kicked away to later March and April, which would just make that halving, which is kind of closer over here, which would just make that halving event all the more bullish, right? And that is a scenario that does make sense if you think about it. However, Bloomberg is still predicting a higher than 50% likelihood that we're going to actually see that ETF deadline be the time where the SEC goes ahead and gives the up arrow, right, the thumbs up, the green light to those spot ETF issuers like BlackRock, ARK Invest, and Invesco, and Fidelity, and all of the other ones. I think there's like 9 at this point that have serious liquidity to offer the market. So it's very, very interesting to watch, and I always like to see, I think the Rational Root is like one of the only ones that posts these circular charts, but it's cool to look at because you can kind of see how things move in the markets. And we're absolutely going to be seeing, also something to point out is that the dark blue dot is the all-time high in halving, and then the red line and the red dot is the bottoms usually. So you can see the red lines come in this kind of pie here, this third quadrant. I'm not sure how to even say that right. This section here is where the bottoms usually come in, and then the halvings usually come in this quadrant, and then the all-time highs come in this quadrant, right? So we are about to be seeing the halving, and that is a great time to gain exposure because in the next quadrant, in the next forward in time, you see that indeed we do hit those all-time highs. And then at some point in this area, you want to go ahead and take profit if you can. And if that's your philosophy, take profit so that you can load up with the profits down at the bottom later on. All right, so that is very helpful to take a look at as well. And that is also the second to last news that I wanted to bring to you all before we take a look at some of the charts that you've yelled out. We've got German Central Bank reports spotlights on Ripple and XRP potential. Not going to read too much into that, but it is something that the XRP army will want to track for sure. Eric Wallen said, Piper, you still wearing that tactical support flag? Oh, not really sure what is meant by that, but Piper, perhaps you know what is meant there by what Eric Wallen is asking. JTO was a crypto that was shouted out. We're going to take a look at it here. If it'll load. There it is. So I'm out here on the daily for JTO. This is a very new one. Let's take a look at it. So far, you do see that it is generally bullish, right? It stayed up above the close of this green candle here on the daily chart, but there's just not much data to go on. Maybe I can find one with a little bit longer trading volume. Let's try BitGet. Yeah, actually, let's try BitGet. So no, not much more data to go off of. But let's go ahead and drill into let's even go to the 2 hour. Let's see what we can pull out here. I almost never go to the 2 hour, but for Judo, whatever this is, JTO USD, we will. I have seen this trending, which is why I'm actually taking a look at it, but by no means is this financial advice. I at this point, just straight up don't recommend that you buy this, but it's interesting to take a look at what some of these newer coins are doing. And what Judo is doing is it's fighting for its life not to put in a lower low, right? So that's pretty self-explanatory. You are under a green trend assistant, which is nice. The MACD kind of saying that you could be seeing more selling momentum here as the red histograms on the 2 hour are accelerating, and the MACD lines have failed to cross. I mean, that bullish cross that you got here really kind of fizzled out, and now those MACD lines are pointing down. From a TA standpoint, there's really not a lot to pull out here because this chart is just doesn't have very much data. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands not telling us too much here either, other than generally it's consolidating. So, from a TA standpoint, there's not really much compelling evidence for one way or the other, but let's take a look at one that does have a lot more evidence, which would be Polkadot. All right. And we're wrapping up the show here, guys. So make sure you're getting your likes in before you go ahead and log out and head on to whatever you got next in your day. Maybe you're going to go mow the lawn. Maybe you're going to feed the chickens. Maybe you're going to set up a new chat bot and begin the new world of AI. Who knows what you're doing? But regardless, make sure that you're hitting the like on the way out of the video, and I really appreciate you tuning in. We're going to end the video with this dot analysis. We've got Polkadot here pulled up, and man, it is fighting to put in a new high after this high back here in early December 10th, was put in early December. This was 2 days ago. So it's fighting. I'm going to get off the 2 hour. I'll go to the 1 hour, though, for the traders, for the bros. So it's trying to put in a high, try to get back up above that and flip that back into support because it was not able to do that here. As you can see, it went down with the rest of the market. It did not test all the way down to that wick like Bitcoin did. It actually found a higher low in the equilibrium zone there from Chart Prime on the 1 hour, and has since, I got a lot going on in this chart, hold on, and has since been able to move back higher. It diddled quite a bit on the dynamic reactor, broke through it, and then broke to try to find a low, found the low. The low there was $6.40, and then resumed higher, and ever since then hasn't really looked back, with every candle being higher than the one before. It even got a buy rating and a green trend assistant from Chart Prime. So this actually would have been a great time to enter back when the price was around 680. You've seen a nice little move since then. You would have seen, let's see, you would have seen a 7% gain on a leverage trade. You could have absolutely made some serious money there. as an investment, it wasn't a bad entry either. Let's take a look here at the Ichimoku. Ichimoku on the right side of the zero line and making a run up for that bullish zone that it was in as recently as December 8th. So on the 1 hour at least. Again, things change quicker on the 1 hour. Green histograms decelerating, but those MACD lines are saying, hey, there's more bullish here to come. And just because the green histograms are decelerating, it doesn't mean that it's going down. It just means it's going up less quickly, right? At a slightly lower rate again and again. And eventually that will flip into red histograms where the bearish momentum takes over, as you saw here, right? Bullish momentum, green histograms, and then that flips to red and you have a move lower. This was an extreme and very pronounced move lower, but it illustrates it well, I'd say. So here for Polkadot, I'd say, looking pretty good, pretty decent, pretty strong, especially if we could, as it kind of gets up into testing this $7.34, which it has wicked up to already. If we can get a nice fundamental boost for Polkadot, I could see this getting up above that $7.30 line and making a move higher. That would be very bullish, obviously. But that's just the hourly chart. Zooming out to the daily chart, let's take a look at Polkadot. Man, it's had a whipsaw of some candles selling all the way down during that general bearish crypto movement, and now it's getting bought back up. So overall, let's see these green histograms that have actually decelerated since the spike right before that sell-off. You didn't even get a red histogram print, right? So the momentum has been able to stay bullish, and that's also reflected in this hiccup here on the MACD lines, but that did not go bearish, right? So Polkadot staying true to its general bearish trend, still under a green trend assist on the daily with a buy rating back here. Now you might be saying, T-Shroom, some of these indicators make it seem like trading is easy. Well, that's true, right? Trading can be quite easy. Now, it's always going to be emotionally difficult because no trader ever avoids losing money, right? You're going to lose money sometimes. You're going to fail in a trade. It's just the way of statistics. There's no way you're going to have a 100% win rate, right? But using an indicator like Chart Prime, you can actually increase your win rate, you can do better, and you'll have more ease on the charts. One of those indicators that I like is the Market Oracle from Chart Prime, and you can get 45% off indicators that show you when there is actually your attention required on the charts, when there's a good entry point coming up in the general zone, and then when that trend assistant is telling you, yeah, this is a good time. People are buying this asset more than they're selling it, right? And you can use that in confluence with traditional indicators like the MACD and free indicators from Chart Prime like the Ichimoku that can actually show you, hey, yeah, confirm, yeah, this is a bullish move. And if you'd bought back here, back at 380 Polkadot, and it was in that zone in October, you would be up over 92% as of today, right? 90%. If you'd bought in that general zone, taken the algorithmic indicator here from Chart Prime of that buy rating, doesn't mean you have to buy it. Doesn't mean you're not obedient to this, right? But it brings your attention, hey, people are buying here, right? This is a candlestick that has brought it in a significant bullish direction. And for right now, you have actually the opportunity to save 45% off on that indicator, right? Just by clicking this link in the description of the very video that you're watching now. Go ahead. I encourage you to check it out. It really has helped me as a trader and investor, and I'm sure it's going to help you too. Chart Prime, you get 45% discount, and you might be thinking, I'll just go with one of the other channels that have a discount as well. I've been watching them longer. I guarantee you, there's only one other influencer out there. There's only one other channel that has a discount of 45%. All of the others are a lower discount, and I'm not going to tell you who that influencer is. However, you have seen him in the chat today. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the stream here. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see G and S saying, let's show some love and hit that like. It's hard to disagree with that, guys. Yesterday was my birthday. I had a great time, and I'm really appreciative to you all for tuning in, and I'm really appreciative of my family for paying for my meal yesterday at Yamato's Hibachi Grill. So it was a lot of fun down here in Gainesville, Florida, and I really, really appreciate you all tuning in. We'll be having our bro time today at 3 p.m., so make sure you tune in. If you're a member of this YouTube channel, you have access to Bro Time on YouTube. It's members only, but it's a lot of fun. We just take recommendations off the charts, maybe talk a little politics. Sometimes we like to slip into a little bit more edgy convos with a more exclusive community. We like to have fun, but we'd love for you to join us in those 3 p.m. Bro Times, of which we're having today. We'll see you again tomorrow in the morning. I'll be going live again at 9 a.m., and we'll have a regularly scheduled TA video from Tim come out at 8:30. And then also tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll not only have the Fed decision, we will also have another live show at 3 p.m., and that's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you'll join us for that. Folks, things are looking up. Things are looking a little bit more bearish, but we are seeing a decent amount of things are looking more bullish, but we are still seeing a decent amount of bearish indications on the one-day chart for Bitcoin. So be careful. Keep your stop losses tight if you're still trading in these volatile markets, right? But if you haven't bought this dip and you have a little bit of cash on the sidelines, it wouldn't be a bad time to deploy it. Of course, not financial advice, right? But there's a chance that we don't go much lower from here, right? So it's just do what you will with that information. Of course, I'm not putting in all of my dry powder here, but I am deploying a little more in the hopes that this is the lowest that we'll see for a lot of these names ever. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.